Hello friends, welcome to Daring Marine YouTube channel. Today we will be discussing about some basic terms in marine refrigeration system. Let's discuss in detail. So, which refrigerants nowadays commonly used are Freon 11 and 12. Then CFCs are banned nowadays. Means Freon 11 and 12 and CFC are banned nowadays. Nowadays Freon 22 and HCFC can be utilized by 1st January 2020. And after that only, nowadays only HFC 133, HFC 134, HFC 404 will be used in later. Okay. Means which refrigerants are used nowadays means we know that Freon 11 and 12 are and CFCs are banned now. Freon 22 and HCFC can be utilized till 1st January 2020 and HFC 133, HFC 134, HFC 404 will be used later. Relative humidity. It is the ratio of amount of water vapor in a given volume of air. Ratio of amount of water vapor in a given amount of air to maximum amount of water vapor that can be present before precipitation occurs. To the maximum amount of water vapor that can be present before precipitation occurs. Relative humidity means ratio of amount of water vapor in a given volume of air to the maximum amount of water vapor that can be present before precipitation occurs. Relative humidity is the mass of water vapor per unit volume. It is the mass of water vapor per unit volume of air compared to the mass of water vapor per unit volume of saturated air at same temperature. Relative humidity is the mass of water vapor per unit volume of air compared to the mass of water vapor per unit volume of saturated air at same temperature. Okay. Which refrigerants are used nowadays means Freon 11 and 12 and CFCs are banned nowadays, and Freon 22 and CFC can be utilized by 1st January 2020. After that only HFC 133, HFC 134, HFC 404 will be used after that. Relative humidity means it is the ratio of amount of water vapor in a given amount of air to the maximum amount of water vapor that can be present before precipitation occurs, and it is the mass of water vapor per unit volume of air compared to the mass of water vapor per unit volume of saturated air at same temperature. Critical temperature means it is a temperature above which it is impossible to liquefy the refrigerant regardless of pressure. Critical temperature means it is a temperature above which it is impossible to liquefy a refrigerant regardless of pressure. It should be high as possible and certainly above the maximum expected condenser temperature. It should be high as possible and certainly above the maximum expected condenser temperature. And critical temperature means it is a temperature above which it is impossible to liquefy the refrigerant regardless of pressure. It should be high as possible and certainly should be above the maximum expected condenser temperature. Saturated air. The air contains maximum weight of water vapor at a particular temperature. Saturated air is the air which contains maximum weight of water vapor at the particular temperature. Superheating means keeping the refrigerant at a temperature above saturation temperature. Keeping the refrigerant at a temperature above the saturation temperature. That is superheating. Critical temperature means it is the temperature above which it is impossible to liquefy the refrigerant regardless of pressure. It should be high as possible and certainly above the maximum expected condenser temperature. What is saturated air? It is the air that contains maximum weight of water vapor at a particular temperature. Superheating means keeping refrigerant at a temperature above it is also keeping refrigerant at a temperature above saturated temperature. Thank you.